In this video, I'll be using group policy to deploy Spotify. I'm starting this video from my GitHub page, and that's because there are a few bits of information here that I will be using for this video. And I will leave the URL in the description down below. And the group policy that I will be creating will be performing few actions. One of them is placing the installation executable files on the local machine in the C program data deployment folder. Also, it will create a RunOnce registry entry for the user, and that's because Spotify is a type of software that needs to be installed under the user account, and the installation needs to be executed by the user. And for that, we'll be using RunOnce. Also, for each setting, I will be using item level targeting because I don't want to deploy these settings for the users that already have Spotify installed on their machines. Also, in the bottom of the page, you can find more of my videos that are related to this topic. For example, here you can find videos about my Windows Server setup if you're interested in that. And there is also a video about creating Spotify MSI installation file if you want to deploy it as an MSI file. Also, there is a video about RunOnce if you want more details on how it works. And now I will begin this video by downloading Spotify installation files, and for that I will use the link that I have here. You should know that this link right here is a direct download link because I was not able to find a offline installer in the Spotify download page. And I found this link in Spotify support page posted by some moderator. Anyways, now I will go to my downloads folder, and as you can see, here we have our executable. I will right click on the executable and select copy. Then I will go to VMware Workstation where I have my Windows Server environment, and for now I will minimize the server manager. I will move the executable to my desktop, and from my desktop I will move it to a network share that is accessible to my domain computers and users. And for that I will open File Explorer, and here I will type in my file server name, it's srv02, and here I have a software share. In this software share I will create a new folder and I will call it Spotify, and I will go inside of it. Then I will move the executable to this folder, and here you need to make sure that you have the correct NTFS and share permissions. For example, in my case, if I go to Properties, Security tab and Edit, you can see that I have authenticated users with read permissions for my NTFS permissions, and also I have the same permissions for my share permissions. And authenticated users covers both users and computers that are in my domain, so that means with read permissions, all the users and the computers in my domain are able to access this share and execute files from it. Anyways, you need to make sure that you have the correct permissions, and now I will close all the windows here, and then I will go to the server manager. And now we can start creating our group policy, and for that I will go to Tools, Group Policy Management. Then I will right click on Group Policy Objects and select New. I will name the policy Deploy Spotify. I will click OK. I will expand Group Policy Objects and select the policy that I created just now. I will right click on it, select Edit, and now we need to go to the user configuration, Preferences, Windows Settings. And the first setting that I will be modifying will be for the file deployment, so we need to go to Files, right click here, go to New and select File. Here we need to provide source file, it's the location where we currently have our executable, and then the destination file, it's the location where we want to deploy it on the client machine. And I have all the values that I will be using in this video in my GitHub page. So I will open the page, and as you can see, here are all the values that I need for this video. And for file deployment, I will use the value that I have for my source file. So I will copy this value right here, and as you can see, it's my file server, software share, Spotify folder, and the executable file name. Anyways, I will paste in the value here. Now let's provide the destination file path, and I have it here. As you can see here, I'm using this variable. It will convert to C program data, deployment folder, Spotify folder, and also Spotify executable file name. So I will copy that value and I will paste it here. And it seems that we have all the necessary values here. And because we want to deploy these settings only to the users who doesn't have Spotify installed, we need to set up item level targeting. And for that, I will go to Common, Item Level Targeting, and Targeting. And I will be targeting a registry key that is created after Spotify installation. And for that, we need to go to New Item, Registry Match, In the left side here, I will leave everything on default. Match type will be key exists. And for the Hive, I will leave it at current user. And I will only provide key path. And I have my key path value in my GitHub page. So I will copy this line and I will paste it here. The other thing that we need to change is that it's currently checking if the registry key exists, and we want the opposite. We want to deploy the file if the key does not exist, as you can see indenting here. So to change it to does not exist, I will go to item options and change it to is not. So now it's, as you can see, it says does not exist, and that means that this setting only will work when the Spotify is not installed on that computer. Anyways, I will click OK here, apply here, and OK here. Now, after configuring file deployment, now we need to configure registry settings. And for that, I will go to registry, right click here, go to new and registry item. For the action, I will leave it at default update. For the Hive, I will leave it at current user. And now we need to provide the location for RunOnce in the current user Hive. And once again, the value is in my GitHub page, so I will copy it, paste it here. Then the value name doesn't really matter, but I will copy it from the GitHub page anyways. And paste it in here. Now we need to provide value data. So I will copy this and paste it here. And if you don't know how RunOnce works, basically this registry entry will be created for the user, and whatever we have for our value data will be executed for the user that has this registry during the logon process. And this registry will start the silent installation for Spotify for that user. After creating our registry, we need to set up item level targeting once more. So let's go to command, select item level targeting, new item, registry match, everything on default in the left side. And for the key path, let's select this and copy it and paste it here. And we need to change the ending here. So from the exist, we need to change it to does not exist. And let's click OK, apply, OK. And we're done creating our policy. So I will close this window. Now I will go to details, and for GPO status, I will go from enable to computer configuration disabled. And click OK. And we are doing that because this policy currently has only user settings in it. And after creating the policy, we need to assign it to an organization unit that is holding the users on which we want to deploy the software. In my case, the organization unit will be this one, the main users. So to assign this policy, I will click and hold on the policy and then drag and drop it on the organization unit. And then click OK. As you can see, the policy appeared here. And also if I expand the organization unit, I can see the policy right here. Now to test this policy, I will go to one of my client machines. It's client 01. And here, let's see how this policy works. So first I will go to File Explorer, and here I will go to C program data folder so that we see if the executable file is deployed on this machine. And as you can see, currently we don't have that folder here. And also I will open Registry Editor and see if we have any entries for our RunOnce key. Here we need to go current users, software, Microsoft, Windows, current version, and somewhere here there should be RunOnce, and here it is. And currently we don't have any values here. Now to populate the values, let's update our group policy, and for that I will open command line without administrative privileges, and here I will type gp update. As you can see, almost instantly we can see the deployment folder in C program data. I will go inside of it, and here we have our executable for the Spotify installation. Same goes for the registry. The value was deployed. So everything seems to be fine. If I click on the registry entry here, we can see that this line will be executed for the user during the logon process. Also, if I delete the registry key, entry, and delete the folder that I have in program data, and then do a GP update once again, you can see that the folder and the executable is redeployed. Same goes for the registry entry, and that's because this user still doesn't have Spotify installed, so it will always check if it has the executable and the registry entry, and if this user doesn't have, the group policy will deploy it. And this will happen until we have Spotify installed for this user. So it seems that we are ready for the installation. We have our executable and the registry entry here. So I will close all the windows that I have opened, and then I will sign out from this user. And then I will sign back in because we need to do this to trigger the Spotify installation. I will open Task Manager to see if I can see if the installation is happening. And it seems that it started. As you can see, we have a Spotify installer currently running, and it seems that it's done installing. It even launched a Spotify after the installation. So everything seems to be working just fine. Also, let's check if item level targeting is working. So I will close Spotify for now. Go back to the C program data on this computer. And then I will delete the deployment folder once again. And also let's check our registry. And we don't have the Spotify installation entry here, because after running it, it deletes the entry from the registry. And let's try to run GP update to see if the registry will be redeployed. Same goes for the executable. And it seems that the executable is not redeploying. Same goes for the registry key, I hope. Yeah, as you can see, we don't have any values. And that's because of item level targeting, because now we have Spotify installed on this user. The executable is not redeployed, and also the registry entry is not recreated. And that's basically it for Spotify installation using group policy. And this method of deployment only works for software that doesn't need administrative privileges to install. Also, one of the advantages of using this type of deployment is that we don't need to have access to our company's network or even have internet connection for it to work after the group policy is updated. So after the group policy is updated, we have everything that we need for the installation on our local machine. So we have the installation file, and we have the RunOnce registry entry as a trigger for the installation. So if the user comes to the office, the group policy updates for him, then he goes back home and doesn't have access to company's network, the Spotify will still install for him because he has everything on his local machine. For example, here I have this client 02, and I will demonstrate how that works. Let's first update our group policy. And as you can see, the group policy was updated successfully for this user. And now what I'm going to do is to disable network connection for this virtual machine. I will go here and I will disconnect the network connection. So now this computer, this virtual machine doesn't have internet access, and also it doesn't have access to my domain controller or the file server. And the installation will still work, and I will demonstrate that. But this is great because other options that we have for installing software with group policy requires for clients to have internet connection or ability to access file server and the domain controller. But in this case, because we have everything locally, we don't need that. And let's see if it works. So I will close this window and sign out once again. And then I will sign back in. I will open Task Manager and let's see what's going on in here. It seems the installation didn't start yet. Oh, yeah. Here is the process for the Spotify installation. And it seems that it installed successfully, and also it auto-ran after the installation. And it gives us the sign-in screen. So everything seems to be working just fine, even when we don't have internet or local access to our file server and the domain controller. And that's it for this video. In the future videos, I will show you how to deploy Spotify using other software deployment tools. So like and subscribe if you want to see that, and see you in the next one.